Surprise-SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to a very special kind of birthday-themed Shin Megami Tensei Network podcast. I am your birthday boy, Spencer Presley, and for today's episode, we decided not to complain about the world, not to talk about video games, because video games help us forget about the world that is 2020. I wanted to sit down with someone I've not talked to in a very, very long time, Miss Erin Fitzgerald. How are you doing?
Hi, happy birthday.
Well, also happy birthday to you, because as you know, apparently this is a thing I'm making happen now. If I know someone whose birthday is on my birthday, I have to talk to that person. So that's what we're doing here.
Yes, it is. And so happy birthday to us. We made it another year in our meat suits.
Exactly. And especially for you, and like being on well, no, I mean I don't mean specifically you and your meat suit, like there's something wrong, like there's no leak in your meat suit, but I'm meaning in terms of like how long it's been since we've like actually talked to you for this podcast. Like I think I'm trying to remember back in some memories, was when your first book came out?
Holy smokes. I only have one book, so that's a long time ago. Yes. Yes.
So in the it's oh my gosh, now I'm like trying to think of all the stuff that has happened in between there and now, of just like the whole like I think in that entire space was like also with like the whole like voice actor strike came
Oh
and
my
passed.
gosh. So I honestly, beyond a week ago, I can't remember anything because so much happens all the time. But yeah, now that feels like ancient history. That feels like that was my last lifetime. Like
that was a big deal. Like that, I remember that strike, seeing that in the news, because it was far from the first one that SAG had ever really kind of gone through or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was one of the, like, at least, I don't know if it was just because of social media, but I felt like it was the most vocal, or at least the most covered.
It was the biggest one, because we actually, without getting into the mechanics, because honest to God, I'm just done talking about it all so much. But it was the first time we had struck for video games, which I had hoped we would have done the negotiation previous to that one, because I thought we had a little bit more wiggle room in terms of negotiation. But things happen outside of my space and time continuum, and so I was really happy that it happened at all. And yeah, major shifts were made. It was a big fight. We needed to have the big fight because we didn't do the big fight, the negotiation, before. So and then, you know, because we did the big fight, big changes happen. And that to me is like, that was such a great microcosm of the macrocosm of what's going on for the rest of like America right now. Because the bottom line is, you can complain about stuff all you want, but if you don't stand up and take action and take a stand and take a point of view and say, no, this is not acceptable, nobody's going to fight on your behalf, period. It's not their job. Not their job to fight.
That's what's like the biggest
They're
thing.
always going to be trying to take what they want for themselves. That's what people do. And the freedom that you have in America is to be as selfish as you want or as generous as you want. You have the freedom to be whoever you want to be, which is well worth fighting for.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, like, it sucks that this conversation has to come up so often, especially in like election years. But of that, like how many genuine conversations I've had with friends I know, of just like, they get everything going on in the world, but like they just look at the outside world like, I don't know, what's the point of me voting? Nothing's gonna actually change. But it's like, as soon as you get out of that mentality,
for the better, it will change for the worse.
Exactly. Yes. If
you don't take action, and granted, maybe you feel like the change is like microcosmic and doesn't do much, but really you're making change to keep the status quo, as opposed to, because there are always forces at work that would like to take it all apart, because there are forces at work that don't like how much freedom people have in the States, and they want to take that freedom away, and they want to monetize that freedom, and they want to, literally take human beings out. For real. Like, that's an actual thing. And we don't realize it until we let it go, until we go, it doesn't matter, which is what we did. I'm going to just say the collectively we, because I don't want to I'm sure people feel like garbage already based on whatever happened in the last 5 elections. And I'm talking like a locally, the Senate, the House, like, because every 2 years, like, it's not just 2016, it's everything that's happened since 2016. And people going, no, there's nothing I can do. No, there's nothing I can do. Well, here we are. This is what happens.
It's that like mixture. It's like that mixture of complacency with just kind of like,
well, it's despair. It's the of despair. And the truth is, and this is the scariest truth, is that it can always get worse. Yes, you think it can't? Do nothing and see what happens. And it's so fascinating because I'm watching this, and play out and thinking, oh, this is exactly how it happened in Germany. Everyone was like, well, it can't get any worse. Well, no one's going to let them do that. Well, that's not possible. And then it happened, and it's part of history now. And it's happening again. And I know full well where I want to be in the history books of this story. I do not want to be on the wrong side of this history story. I don't want there to be Indiana Jones movies being made of people needing to kill me because I was on the wrong side.
Yeah. Which I mean, in a very roundabout way, I do actually want to give you a shout out, without getting into the actual strike that was going on a couple years ago, just how much you guys were not only beating that drum, but just really kicking ass in terms of making a solid argument in terms of just kind of talking, because it's not just I think a strike is very but I think a strike is really easy to kind of water down and from the outside of just being oh, well, it's just people trying to ask for stuff that they want, when it's not. It's a conversation. It has to be both parties.
Oh, it's beyond a conversation. It was not a conversation. It was not a conversation, Spencer. They did not want to converse with us. They just said, no, we're not giving you anything, and we're going to take away everything you've negotiated in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
we're going to take it all away. So there was no conversation. It wasn't a negotiation or a conversation. That's why we had to go on strike, because people of power were like, oh, we have the power. You are worth nothing. Literally said that to us. You are worth nothing. We can replace you. You don't need any of this. We are not going to give it to you. So we had to strike ultimately to say, oh, okay, let's see. Okay, so you don't believe any of this that we're of any value. So, okay, let's see how that works out for you. Let's not go to work and see what happens.
And as someone who has been in this industry for so long, I was kind of curious how you felt about during those during that whole process. Like you said, it's not, it was, calling it a negotiation is nicer than what it really was, but during that process of you guys being okay, hey, we're on strike, we're not going to work, what's it kind of like in your mentality of then seeing other voice actors who aren't part of that fight kind of then getting
they're
their
all benefiting from our fight now.
That's got to be the weird thing of because there was that when all this was going on.
People are self-serving, Spencer. People are selfish and self-serving, and people are, fearful. And the people who are, there's the greedy people who don't care. There's the people who are fearful because they don't want to be homeless and they think that's the only way they can make money, but won't go and get a regular job. I suffered financially dramatically from the strike. I also had been working, I had been Phi Corps up to that point. I had been working union and non-union, and then when the strike happened, I reversed my Phi Corps status. I stopped and walked away from all my non-union work, which, hurt me financially, but it was for the long game. And the long game was, if we don't unite and do this all together, we are not going to have an industry to come back to. They will take everything away from us, and this will not be a livable wage, period. And I haven't gone back since. I have stayed that course, and I'm sticking union specifically, and I fight the union fight, and so many other things have triggered because of that. So yeah, there were people crossing the picket lines. Yes, there were people still working at that time. I don't focus on those people. I can't. They're on their own journey. They have to live with what they chose to do. I don't have to live in that. I know where I don't have any guilt during that period of time. And because of the guilt that many of them had, came other fights later to renegotiate other contracts, and people stepping up and having the courage for other things. Maybe they didn't during the video game strike because it was too scary and they didn't know what else to do. And then later they stepped up. And then some people didn't. You know, I can't police human beings. I just don't care enough to police people or try to convince people to do the right thing, because they're either going to or they're not. But I know that I need to protect the people that I love, the people I love to work with, the job that I love to do. It's my job to protect that. It's not anybody else's job. Nobody gives a crap whether I'm working or not. Nobody's going out of their way to make sure that I'm employed. That is not a thing that will ever happen as an actor. No one cares, because there's always someone they can replace you with. And that's what you're constantly told as an actor. So the bottom line becomes, well, then I have to value myself. I have to value my talent. I know what I bring. I know how many hours I save based on what I'm able to do in the booth. I know that the people who hire me come back again and again because I provide a good service and I'm worth the money. And it allows you to become as confident as you're ever going to be like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this job. And if you don't have that confidence, and if you're not able to move forward, maybe this job isn't for you. If you're not willing to fight for your job that you love, maybe the job isn't for you, because the job will destroy you on all levels if you can't find the self-confidence from within. So for me, what does that mean? That means I'm always working on my craft. That means I'm always looking to improve myself. That means I'm not hustling. I don't go out and try to schmooze people into giving me work, because I don't believe in that. I believe that kind of work is fleeting, and you'll end up finding people who will use you and not pay you what you're worth. Instead, I let my talent speak for itself, and my talent book me work and rebook me work. Because if I'm good at my job and I do what I do well, the client will call me back, because ultimately I save the money and provide them a great service. Ideally, I provide them with more value than they're paying me. And that's what I focus on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because like one of the big like takeaways when I noticed that sort of rise in a lot of like non-union people, sort of, I like to assume, hopefully not like kind of using that like strike as like a way of them kind of like rising to prominence, because hey, a lot of their usuals were on strike.
It doesn't work. The problem is that they're still getting paid garbage, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
there is no such thing.
exactly.
It's only prominence in the eyes of the fans. But in their bank accounts, I know what their bank accounts look like. I know when I walked into non-union sessions and I was getting paid the standard non-union rate, and the contract underneath me was a new actor, somebody new to the industry, and they were getting paid a quarter of what I was getting paid. So that meant that they didn't even know what the non-union standard was. They didn't know that they were supposed to get, even in the non-union world, a base rate. They were getting hornswoggled. And that was one of those moments where I was like, I need to stop. I'm enabling this treatment of non-union actors by doing non-union work. So that's when I was like, okay, this cycle doesn't stop. And I know that there were people before me, the generation above me, that had to learn the same lessons the hard way. They were doing non-union and they all flipped to union for learning the same lessons. And I had to learn it the hard way. And the people doing non-union now, they're going to learn it the hard way. It's part of the cycle. So I can't judge any of it. I've done all of it. I can't, ultimately, people just want to work doing something that they love. So I get that. But if you're not getting paid, if you can't pay your rent off of it, what is the point? Mm-hmm. There is no point, because then it's not a career.
On a bit of a related but a little bit lighter note, if you're up for it, we recently had a talk about voice actors and kind of the incestuous nature of the industry. And it's and only in like the sense of, I think with a lot of like English dubbed like work, whether it be in anime or games, a lot of the times with bigger projects, you'll see a lot of the same voices. Like a good example is like look at that new Avengers game that just came out. That is a super solid cast of people who've been in like tons and tons of other work.
I don't know who's in it. I have no idea.
So it's
I don't
like
pay attention to what other people are working on, and I don't pay attention to what's coming out. I really don't. I'm too busy focused on my job.
I totally get it. So it's like Nolan North, Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, these people who have done like hundreds and hundreds of things for it. But then there's that talk of like, if we keep giving the Laura Baileys and Troy Bakers of the world all the big stuff, how are other voices going to kind of like rise up for it? As like a voice.
First of all, who cares? If you're good at your job, then you should be booking it anyway. If you're not better than them, then why should you book it? And if they're good at again, I'm not mad at them for creating a clientele that wants to hire them again and again. If they're doing good work and their value is worth it, then of course the client's going to hire them again and again. So it boils down to, are you good at your job? If you're good at your job, then you create your own relationships with your own clients so that they hire you again and again. It goes back to theater of the olden days when you would have a theater troupe of people and it would be the same cast and they would just play different parts all the time, but it's a comfortable family. Adam Sandler did it. He would use the same casts over and over again because they're a family. There is nothing wrong with that. NYAV Post, Stephanie Shea does it all the time. She gets her family of talent and they work together and she does it over and over again. There is nothing wrong with that. If you are talented and you're good at your job, you should be hired again. Yeah. If you're not breaking into that has nothing to do with them. That has to do with you.
Yeah, like you not getting a role doesn't mean the person who got it was keeping you from getting it.
That is, look, people who are good at what they do get hired, period.
Plus, I would at least, I don't even know if this is like super, super true. I would feel like even though there are more, like people say, oh, it's so much harder to get into the voice acting industry because there's so many people for it. Like I feel like compared to like even like 20 something years ago, like it was harder like then because of just like you didn't have all these avenues like online.
There was no internet. Nobody was pursuing voice acting, first of all, because it wasn't really a viable career. It was just acting. You would act on camera, you would act behind a mic, you'd act on stage. Whatever would pay you to be an actor is what you did. And then when they started hiring more and more for video games, then it became actually viable. It's like, oh, I could just stick to behind the mic acting. So yeah, no, it just, you are either good at this or you're not. And people who don't have any training at all in acting end up doing the same habits over and over again, and they do the same characters over and over again, and they sound identical from project to project. And so, yeah, they're not going to necessarily get cast in multiple things because people get tired of hearing the same characters over and over again. Even the Troy Bakers and the Laura Baileys, there are auditions that go out that want people who sound like them because they're just a little tired of hiring, so you're screwed if you're popular, you're screwed if you're not. It's just the job. It's the nature of the beast because the people in charge are not kind to actors. We have never been treated with like the respect of like a producer or a director. It is not the same field at all. So you have to be ready for all of that. And honest to God, keep your nose on your job. Keep your nose on your characters. What are you doing to make your characters more believable? How are you physicalizing your characters to make them different? How are you breaking your habits that you end up pulling back to the same habits over and over again? So then ultimately when you hear yourself, you're like, dang, that sounded like that because I didn't change the musculature of my face. And if I had just changed the musculature of my face, I could have gotten further deeper within the heart and soul of that character because that character would have been more, there's so much to this craft to study and work on. To be focusing on whether you're booking or not is just a tiny, tiny part of it, and it shouldn't be the main focus. If you're not working on becoming a better actor every day, I don't understand why anybody would be an actor, because there's no such thing as voice actor. There's only an actor. You're either an actor or you're not. If you do voices, that's just a party trick. Anybody can do voices. Anybody and their dog can do voices. You go to a party, you'll hear everybody doing voices. It doesn't mean they can act. So it's one of those things. I feel like it doesn't matter. Ultimately, nothing matters other than the craft itself. So it doesn't matter whether you're booking, whether you're not booking. It doesn't mean that things won't change for you. I've watched actors who were terribly green, and it was painful to watch them at the beginning because they were just starting out and they were just getting the training and they were just starting the practicing. But 4 years in, after thousands of hours of practice and thousands and thousands of hours of critiques and criticism and no, you sound the same and insults and just, the brutalization of this industry, being honest about where you are as an actor, they all got better. All of them got better. All of them have worked on their craft. All of them earn the jobs they book, whether they're union or non-union, so I have respect for anybody who can stick to this career for 4 years or more.
I appreciate that a lot because I think it's such like kind of a nuanced sort of thing, and it's always easy to like sum up why you didn't land something or why you think there's a problem in like a 140 character tweet, but like actually having that talk about it is less so kind of heard. So I really appreciate that.
Well, and I'm over 25 years in this industry. 25 years. I don't have to do anything else other than what I do. I coach now on the side for pleasure because now that I'm doing nothing but union, I don't work as often because I don't have to, because now I'm getting those union wages. But that what keeps me focused on the craft is working with other actors and teaching them all the things I have spent, now over 30 years of study and training and practice. Over 30 years I've been working at this craft. 30 years, probably more if you count all these stuff I did as a kid. So it's like my birthday, right? So I'm old in this industry. I'm an old female person in this industry that usually at this point is when the women that were my age when were this age that I am now when I was 20 were basically told they were to be put out to pasture, that they were done, that there's no need for them to continue. And a lot of them would give up. And I know a good 30 females who have come up with me we have no intention of going anywhere because we've worked very hard to establish ourselves and we're very good at what we do. But it doesn't mean there isn't room for everybody because there's thousands of parts out there. And ideally, with more females getting into the writing and producing of games and animation, there'll be even more work for females. It's still the dimension of booking for male versus female is still horrific. I was just last year in a studio before COVID, and they were doing some game in a studio adjacent from what I was recording, and they were saying that it was so difficult because they had to cast 600 roles, and I'm like, I'm available. They're like, oh, we only had 2 female roles, but 600 male, 600 men.
It's like Smurf levels of bad.
Yeah, and who knows how many of those were white? Out of those 600 men, 598 men, how many of them were white male characters? How many of them were white actors? That was a year ago. Things are different this year. COVID has changed everything. Black Lives Matter, everything that we've been witnessing. We can't pretend the world hasn't been a horrific, systemically racist place anymore. It's time for all these doors to open. I am happy to stay in this career and see where this goes. I want to play this out. I want to see where this goes. I want to support and be present and be like, yes, whoever's stepping up to make these changes, let's do it. I got your back. What can I do to help you? I want this change just as much as you do. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean it's great that there are so many people out there like you were mentioning, like all the other like women who are not just going to be like, okay, well, I guess my expiration date's here, like I have to get pushed out because that's like what it should be. It's like, no, that's a stupid rule, and like the way things are. A rule.
It was how white males ran the industry. It was as soon as white males in charge decided that you were no longer worthy to have sex with, you were deleted. Period. That's how the industry has always been since the beginning of time. And so that's what we're changing now. We're saying, yeah, that's not going to work anymore. I'm not here so that you can fantasize about having sex with me. That's not my existence. Sorry. Yeah, that's basically how it has been operating up until this point. And I've been told that on multiple occasions by white men in the industry. Just make sure and that's where you see young women trying to work at that angle because they've been told that very clearly.
So kind of jettisoning off a little bit more and sort of focusing with like recent stuff. I have a bit of a weird question because I'm getting some of my
weird question
companies mixed up for it, but I have to say, out of everything you've done voice wise that I've heard in 2020, I did not think I would ever hear you doing a voice in another Persona anime dubbed again, because I thought after all the stupid trials and tribulations you guys had to go through to get Persona 4 dubbed by all of you all, I was in all the other follow-up things, those never getting dubbed, people kind of like gave up for it. When I don't like, obviously you voicing Wakaba in Persona 5's animation, were you guys surprised Amniplex or had hired like PCB to like do that, or like
I don't understand where all of this is coming from. The only drama was when because PCB has done all of the Atlas titles, gaming titles, period. That has only ever been PCB. The only time it went rogue was for the anime once, and it was a company outside of Atlas. It had nothing to do with Atlas. The anime had nothing to do with Atlas. That was an anime company from Japan that was outside, and they went to a different studio. So that was such a very rogue thing in the first place. And we stood our ground, and we all were going to strike it. Like, the entire cast wasn't going to record it because we were supporting PCB. And then PCB worked it out and said, no, we need to move forward. You guys, thank you. They thanked us for standing in solidarity and said, no, but we need to, this is outside of our control. This has nothing to do with Atlas. This is outside. We just have to let this be what it is, but we'll make sure this never happens again. So no, I was not surprised because they knew full well where we stood as a cast, and so whoever would have because the anime rights are different than the game rights, so that's the industry. That's the way. If stuff like that happens so constantly, and fans have no idea because all they see is the titles. They don't know about licensing and ownership and animation and games, and nobody pays attention to all the details. And we only know it because we're living it, and we're like, how come this studio is doing it, and then what happened to that studio? And so yeah, I know that our solidarity made a difference for sure. And so of course we weren't surprised when everything went stuck with PCB, because PCB is phenomenal, and the reason Atlas does so well in America is because of PCB.
Yeah, like there's a reason they've been doing them for almost like 20 years now. It's like you guys always have like that certain like kind of like level of like quality with it that like the fans have even like said like in critics, like they all universally are always praised for like the voice casting and the direction.
No, PCB is quality studio. It's one of the best studios out there, no question. No question.
So
the work stands for itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess like my sort of thing comes from, because there have been so many other like properties, like with how like Golden never got dubbed, which I know like everyone was always so like heartbroken of, especially just because that one's like such a more lighthearted comedy show as opposed to just like let's retell the same story again. Right. All like the little movies and stuff. So I don't know if you would really remember. Do you know like when you got called in to do Wakaba for the animation? Because the other people I've talked to was
in the game the same week. It was all the same week.
Okay, yeah, that lines up with what I've been hearing, because I've actually been trying to talk to a couple other people for it, because there was like funny stuff that like I found out of like the nurse in Persona 5 or whatever had to have her voice changed. It wasn't because of the game, but it was actually because they were doing the animation as well at the same time. But like, because the game is different from the anime, people aren't really kind of talking about all these different things for it. So for you at least, I guess, do you know like time wise when that would have been when you recorded the game and the animation?
I don't remember. You realize that we've.
I know it's like, and especially now, like time has no meaning. Time is a flat circle.
But beyond time have no meanings. I mean, so many more important things have been going on in the world.
Yeah.
Don't remember. I have no idea.
No worries.
I have no clue. Not at all.
No worries at all. Kind of going on the same note though, but in terms of stuff, I guess not getting like voice acted. I don't know if, and obviously because the conversations probably didn't really come your guys' way, as this was something you guys did not voice act, but with stuff like Persona Q2 when
I was so disappointed that we didn't get to do that because I loved Persona Q so much.
Yeah, like that was so
love it.
heartbreaking because I know how much like all of you guys had so much fun like doing that one, like that game voice acting of just like, and that just coming out with no dub, and it was just one of those things of like, yes, we get it. It's 2019. This is a smaller title. You probably aren't justifying the cost to bring this out.
I don't think it wasn't that about the title. It was about the gaming system being like.
Yeah, with it being 3DS in 2019.
It was just where it was going to be released. It wasn't worth it for the projected sales. So I never took it personally that it was about the title. I always knew it had to do that. Oh, that handheld device just was not going to be as popular anymore because things have moved on, and can't be mad at that. I totally understand that.
So like as an actor though, when you're going through those situations of like, oh man, does it like kind of feel like the one that got away for like these things of like, oh, I'm sure that would have been so fun.
I don't put attention on any of that. I feel like if you are an actor and putting your attention on any of that, then you are missing out on opportunities. There are thousands and thousands of things that don't come my way every day in this industry. I can't put my attention on all the things that I didn't get, or I would A, probably be in incredible depression, and B, be suicidal and completely end things. There is no point in putting any attention on things that don't come to pass. There's no point on worrying about it, thinking about it, putting your energy on it, attaching any energy to it. It doesn't make a difference. It's not going to make your life better. You don't know what's around the corner. You never know what you're working on. I was the original cast of League of Legends. It was a no-name indie game when I recorded it. I did not know where it would end up. I think people, especially young actors, put way too much attention on what might blow up and might get them famous, when I don't give a crap whether people know who I am or not. I genuinely don't care. Why? Because I get to do what I love every day. I get to wake up and create characters, whether people know who I am or not. Most people do not know who I am. Most people know my characters' names, though. My characters get famous, but I don't get famous. That's the way I want it. I want the characters to resonate with an audience in a way that lights the audience members up and changes something about their day, their moment, their mental health, something. That is my job. That's what I want to do. I don't care if it gets popular. I don't care if only one audience member sees it. I've done theater shows to 2 people sitting in an audience. It is irrelevant the amount of people who see a thing. It is irrelevant the amount of things I get booked in. My resume looks ridiculously long because I've been doing it over 20 years. It just adds up over time, period. It adds up over time. And if you're not looking ahead towards what are you going to do next, and you're busy looking behind you, you're not going to get very far.
On that same kind of note, because I'm sure you've had this, because at least I'm very much more like this when it comes to people portraying characters. I have so many actors that either I've met or interacted with online where I come up to them and be like, yes, I love these characters you've like voiced or whatever, but like I appreciate you so much as an actor. Like, so like for you, what is that kind of like comparing, like getting those people as opposed to someone coming up to me like, oh my god, I love Chie, thank you so much for this, as opposed to being like, wow, thank you for doing like X, Y, and Z, like you as an actor, or even just you as someone who's like on social media, just being yourself or streaming. Like, how do you kind of like take those when you would have interactions with people more often?
Oh my god, that was so much information. I think I'm confused. When I'm like, what? When people say what?
Basically, like that thing of like,
I'm like, I don't know. How do a case by case scenario? I don't know.
Yeah, because like it's just one of those things I always like think of with like, especially at conventions when they would like bring actors in, like it always felt like 99% of people who were there was like, oh my god, I love this character you did, and very rarely it was like, hey, I'm just really excited to see this person. But like that's so great though, like you talking about it is like,
I know I don't pay attention. Again, you're welcome. I pay attention to the only things I pay attention to is how somebody is feeling in that moment. Whether or not they give a crap about me is irrelevant. What matters is how do they feel? How do they feel in that moment? Mm-hmm. Acting is a being of service to others. You're not acting for yourself. If you were acting for yourself, you wouldn't need an audience. You're acting for others. You're acting because you want to open something up within someone else so they have an experience, right? It's the same with being a musician or a painter or an artist of any kind. It's not about you. It's never about you. And if you're making it about you, you need to adjust accordingly if you want to stay healthy, happy, and focused, or because otherwise you'll get bitter and angry. When you're focused on how somebody else feels, when somebody comes to the table and they're having an experience, I can see it. I can see it if they're crying, if they're shaking. Some people do. I can see it if they're just so enthusiastic, happy, and excited. Then I match that. I don't remember whether it was for the character, whether it was for me. I know that what happens in that moment is a mutual appreciation of the art, of the title. It couldn't, because it might not be about me. It just so happens I'm the person there in the name of said project, right? So somebody comes to the table, they're enthusiastic because I'm in their favorite game. Maybe they hate my character. How do I know? But they love the game so much, it changed their life. Then I become a representative for that entire IP, for the writers, directors, producers, programmers, everybody who's involved. I become the representative for all of them. So the interaction between me and the fan has nothing to do with me. It has to do with that fan's appreciation of a game or an anime or a cartoon that they're so in love with, that they took their valuable time to come out just to interact with one person who is a part of the entire project. That's amazing that people do that. So of course I want to be present. I want to be open and listening. I want to give them the best experience possible, and I want to rejoice in the art that we created. I want to rejoice as a team. Because I am not a vacuum. I did not do any of this by myself. There are hundreds of people involved, in some cases thousands, depending on the IP, and everybody deserves the love, the attention, and the credit. So I do put my attention on the entire team inwardly. So the love that I'm receiving from the individual at a table or an email or a tweet, that I'm sending that love to the team. I'm sharing it on the energy level. Because that to me is really important. Yeah. Because it's what keeps us going. Because it's a grind. The art is a grind.
So, kind of milling a couple of different things we've talked about, but I was looking at my wall, and I feel like the year 2019 feels like a decade ago. So, if you are not super like adverse to what your headspace was like for this, do not feel bad. We can totally skip over this. I often, when thinking about like Catherine Full Body, I like to look back. I love to look back at how that game is so like, and just Catherine as a whole is so like well remembered, and just like how special of a project that was for so many reasons. Yeah. But how disappointed I was when the game released in Japan but was not out in America yet, and how many people were taking stuff out of context and kind of like,
Twitter came at me.
Ooh. Yeah, and I wanted to like kind of ask like, and I was curious about, because you did a really good job kind of like stepping out there like for like in terms of like, hey, like let's wait, nobody really knows the context, like you guys haven't seen it for yourselves really, but like I remember I'm always frustrated in the sense that people were so fast to like trash that entire game before anyone had actually laid their actual eyes on it, and not just seen stuff out of context without really kind of going back. That like,
you know what? It's fine. That's what the point of art is. Whether they've seen it or not, art is meant to stir. And especially when people, I mean, we're talking about people's actual lives. Like people, it's a life and death thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For many people, being transgender is a life and death situation. Whether it's healthcare and how the healthcare in their country handles it, whether it's, these bigoted terrorists that target and hurt people. So yeah, representation matters. Because we've seen in the past that misrepresentation causes violence. So as far as I'm concerned, what I'm proudest most about getting to be part of the Catherine experience, because when I was casting Catherine as Erica, I wasn't told anything about Erica. I discovered who Erica was through the recording session, because they didn't want to tell me anything, because they didn't want me to play anything. They just wanted me to be Erica. So I just was Erica. And it just so happened that Erica was transgender. Now, I get how dickish that sounds now, but at the time, it was an interesting choice that they had made to record it. So by the time we recorded Catherine Full Body, the education I had on all things transgender, and my friends who are transgender, whom I have many, was a deep education between the original Catherine and Catherine Full Body. So it was really important to me when we went back to in Full Body that I was also incorporating for the first time, because I didn't get the opportunity to incorporate it in the original record, the actual experiences of people I know and love, and what they experience, what they go through, the challenges they face, just the ugliness online, the trolls, the horror, all of that, like, because Erica would have had to experience all of that at some point somewhere, and I got to put that into her body during the record for Full Body, and I got to incorporate that, granted not from personal experience, which would have been ideal, but we weren't as advanced as we are now. Like, we didn't know what we didn't know then. And I was cast cold without auditioning for Erica. So, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being Erica. I'm proud of that because I have been blessed with being educated by so many amazing human beings, whether they liked it or hated it. They've been open to having conversations with me and pointing out things that I was not aware of, pointing out ignorances that I didn't know I had, pointing out, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being educated about your biases. You're taught bigotry. I mean, if you're white, you have racism because it's taught to you at such an early age. You can't not be racist if you're white. So the entire process of becoming anti-racist is about listening and understanding and going, okay, this is what I need to change. Oh my God, I didn't realize that this way of thinking was a racist way of thinking. It never occurred to me, because that's the privilege of not being the person who is being oppressed. You don't have to think about those things. So I've had the amazing process and journey of being educated in ways that I never would have otherwise. I never would have, because I never would have put myself all the way in the shoes. You know what I'm saying? And I think that game, whether somebody played it or not, with the backlash that happened before and after, was worth all of it, because it opened conversations. It made people think. It brought out ugliness in a lot of people, so I knew who to block right away. That's easy. It brought out my own ignorance, my own biases. It's so powerful. That game is so powerful just because of the conversation. It doesn't matter whether people played it or not, just the conversation and just the arguments. And I understood all sides, but yeah, the side that is bigoted and closed-minded and just let the art be the art. Yeah, it doesn't work like that anymore. That's not okay anymore. I'm not willing to participate in that anymore. Because I realize that representation on all levels matters so much more. So, and because of Catherine, I've become a much bigger advocate for fighting for appropriate casting and fighting to make sure that people are represented appropriately who have had experiences that can bring a depth to a character that, frankly, I just can't.
That's awesome, though, like, in terms of, like, how much things have changed, and really, in the grand scheme of things, not that much time.
It really is.
When it came to addressing it publicly before the game was out, was that like a conversation you guys kind of had to have, or were you just able to sort of just kind of?
It was an accident. The first attack was an accident. Like, I don't remember what happened, but somebody came at me, and then it blew up, and then the toxicity. And I mean, it wasn't the transgender community that came after me. It was the toxic cishet incel community that came at me, and that wasn't the first time I've experienced that community. I've definitely experienced that in community before. And so it was intense. It was ugly. I know how to handle it, so I'm not afraid of it at all. Come at me, bro. And after that happened, Atlas reached out to me, and they were like, because people were being sneaky and trying to get me to say things and misquote me. Like, it was amazing how shady people were.
Oh yeah, like that time was like so many things of like just taking stuff out of context and even just people's replies.
Because there are people who are always going to do that. We know that now. So we are just safer now. So Atlas was amazing. And the PR team and Atlas were amazing. And I was like, I didn't say these things, but this was twisted and that. They're like, we get it. We hear you. We get it. And I'm like, we need to be open to conversations when this game comes out. And it needs to be open and honest conversations, because whether we did right or wrong, who knows? We won't know until it comes out, because none of us are transgender. So because none of us are transgender and there's no transgender people on the team, we can't pretend like we know better, because we don't. None of us do.
Mm-hmm.
You know. That's how you learn and grow.
Yeah, that was one of those moments of because I had actually imported the game from Japan, so I think by the time I got it through shipping, I got it like a month or two afterwards. And when I was playing through it, I was just like, I was actually impressed at how good even just the Japanese attempt was of it, especially because in like Asian culture, they are way, way, way less progressive for a lot of modern issues and stuff like that.
There was a lot of stuff that made me really, really uncomfortable in the record session, and I remember us going like, this isn't okay. This isn't okay. This is not okay. We can't put this out in the world. This will incite violence, and it will be like giving a thumbs up to being horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay.
So, like, when stuff like that would get brought up, like, is it usually more of a conversation? Does it just kind of, like, go to the, like, director's notes? Or, like, what's that like?
Well, they were really conscious about adjusting it and making it better.
That's good, though, because I know that it's
and that's
not...
what the heat was about. The heat was about acknowledging stuff that was horrible and making it better, period.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Because cultural differences are cultural differences. I can't speak to Japanese culture. I do know that in dubbing stuff, I have seen some horrific things that would not fly over here, because it's going to incite violence and people will get hurt.
That's at least good that, like, at least for, like, with that recording, like, how that's, like, a safe space to have that kind of conversation, which...
It was a very safe space, and they were very respectful. It would have been great to have somebody transgender present, but again, I don't have power or control over that. All I can do is make recommendations. And trust and believe, I have a list of talent now. I didn't when we did the first record of Catherine. I did when we did the second, and all I can do is recommend the people, and I can't get the companies to hire them. Mm-hmm. You know, nothing I can do about that. But trust and believe, I do that with Black actors, Asian actors, Latino actors. Like, I have a list now. So when the white people come at me and say, we don't know anybody, I can say, I do. I know lots of people. Here are some names and contact information. Here you go. There's no excuses.
So, kind of going away with that, but one of the things I've been watching you, like, do over God knows how many, like, months and years now for it, what got you started with, like, live streaming and stuff? Because I've been, like, following you on Twitch forever now, but, like, I don't even know, like, what the start of that was.
4 years ago. It started 4 years ago because I noticed that my PlayStation would stream automatically.
It wasn't even like it was some grandiose play and you're like, oh, look, it does this thing.
No, it literally was playing video games with Danielle, Overwatch with Danielle, and going, oh, well, if I'm going to play, I might as well stream it, because if I stream it, I can write off the game. I can make it research and development. So it was more of thinking of it as a write-off for, for all the games and the equipment for games and all that. I was like, oh, if I stream it, then it becomes like just part of, I can put it under the umbrella of my corporation as a production, and I can use it as write-offs and research and development. That's literally why I started, and because the PlayStation made it easy and it was just one button, and then people actually showed up to the streams regularly and actually started to subscribe, and I was like, oh, well, I guess we're doing this then. So that's how it started and ended and is. And nothing really has changed. I mean, I'm not like one of those people that is hugely popular and gained thousands of followers, and like, that is not me. That has never been me. I've always been a front lines girl where I kind of am ahead of the curve. And because I'm ahead of the curve, I miss out on the super popularity stuff, but I'm okay with that. That's who I am anyway. So, because I like a smaller crowd, I can be more intimate, and I can be more, I can be myself with a smaller crowd. I don't have to cater to anybody. I'm not good at catering to people. I am who I am. You either like me or you don't. I'm polarizing. I mean, majority of my characters, people either love my characters or tell me that I'm incredibly annoying. I'm like, that's me, pretty much. That's me in a nutshell, pretty much. I get it. And I'm not mad at who I am. I love who I am. So yeah, streaming was great fun, and I just kept it up, and I still have a lot of, I mean, there are people who have been subbed to me for 4 years. That's a thing. And I don't do it. I don't, like, my Discord isn't popping with events, but it's a hangout. It's just a chill place to hang. My Twitch channel is a chill place to hang. There's not a lot of giveaways. I don't do fancy things. I'm not fancy like that. I'm just me. I'm totally transparent. I am who I am. I don't play my so-called celebrity card. That doesn't interest me at all. When I game, I'm a gamer.
It's nice because like one of the things I like the most about when I have watched your live streams compared to like other people I know who are like actors who do live streams is you could instantly tell when someone is live streaming like you just to like have fun and just play something, and someone who's like, here's my marketing tool, let's hit my beats, make sure we're doing this, got like, it's like a checklist as opposed to just,
you can tell when somebody's faking it and trying to milk their fame.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that's gross. I'm like, why are you doing it that way? I don't get it. But, I'm not going to begrudge somebody who's trying to make their rent. If that's what you're doing to make your rent, how am I can't hang out in that.
Yeah. It's like, you do you if you want to do that.
Up, and I have on a few of them, when I show up, you can see that they don't know how to act. Like, me showing up to the stream and being who I am and just being honest, they don't know how to adjust their performance accordingly, because now it's like, oh, she knows who I really am, and I'm putting on this persona for the fans, and I'm like, well, I'll leave now because I'm making you uncomfortable. I'm sorry.
So do you have like any sort of like particular like game you enjoy streaming like the most? Because I know you streamed Overwatch for like ever, but like
I haven't streamed Overwatch for a year, but now that Halloween is coming up, I'll definitely be streaming Overwatch Halloween event again and Christmas event. I missed it. It's been a year. I've mostly been streaming. Honestly, I play it and I stream it as Animal Crossing for the mental health aspect, because during this time, there is nothing more important than mental health, relaxation, and social media is a dumpster fire of reality, and reality is a dumpster fire, and I think it's really important to have self-care and mental health. And when I stream specifically for people to unplug from social media, unplug from the news, unplug from whatever happened that day. My streams are specifically for mental health. And that's where we are now. That's what I'm doing now. It's not even to have fun. It's literally to calm down.
I mean, Animal Crossing is like such a perfect kind of game for that, and like, Jesus, there's a reason that game has sold like almost like 20 million copies in like 6 months.
Yes, honey, yes, all of it, yes, there is.
It's one of those games that like I know I would love, but I've just not had the like kind of drive to like pick it up just because I've had this.
Well, I had no intention, Spencer. It was my community. That's how good my community is. My community, the admin of my Discord put together a GoFundMe, and like all the squad and subscribers chipped in money, bought me a Switch.
They were very dedicated. It's not even like they got you the game. They were like, here's the system. Here's the system. You have no choice not to play it now. We made a GoFundMe.
They bought me the game, and they were like, we know you will love this. And I'm so resistant, right? Because again, I don't stream for other people's entertainment. I stream because it's something I want to do because I'm going to game anyway. So I was like, no. I'm not going to, I don't want to play your game. I don't know this game. I don't want to play it because I don't like playing new games. I stick to the same thing over and over again. I'm very predictable, very consistent, but I'm a comfy stream because of that. Because you know what you're going to get with me. Because I don't stray from that and I'm just authentic and myself, I fill a particular streaming need, I think. You know what I mean? Where other people are really good at playing all the new games and they it's great. They're the gamers that can. I suck at gaming, Spencer. I'm terrible shot. I suck at all of this. I think people hang out with me when I'm streaming because it's comfy and it's a safe place to hang out and it's wholesome because I try to keep it as clean as possible, and just be a break from the outside world, which is, just angry.
Erin, you know how I know you're genuine, wholesome, and cozy for your streams? Is because you stream Chocobo Mystery Dungeon.
Yes!
Someone who has a true and honest, pure heart has to stream that, because we know there's no fake gamers playing Chocobo Mystery Dungeon.
No, there isn't. I'm all about that Chocobo life, though, Spencer. If I could do all things with Chocobos, oh my God, that would make me so happy.
This was a big week for Chocobos. I screamed when I saw Chocobos this week.
Comfort animal. Chocobos are my comfort character. Everybody has a comfort character. Chocobos are my comfort character. No question.
That is so funny. So what is it? Just like the design of them, like a inherent nostalgia? Like, what is it specifically about Chocobos?
I don't know.
Do you have a favorite? There's so many.
It's the Final Fantasy VII, being able to breed them, race them, wander the world with them at my leisure, open world. I don't like story mode because my job is story mode. That is my day job. My day job is story mode. When I game, I want open world and unlimited imagination and be able to make it up as I go, which is why I love Animal Crossing, which is why I only play Final Fantasy VII, because once I get to the Chocobo time, I just live in the Chocobo period of breeding, racing, and running around the world. That's what I do.
So when can we get the GoFundMe so that when you do Final Fantasy VII Part 2, we can make you the Chocobo breeder?
No.
No?
I think I'm the Chocobo person in like one of the Final I'm in all of the Final Fantasies outside. I don't play any of those. I know I'm Sarala, the Greens chicken one. I'm pretty sure I'm a Chocobo person in another, which has been really fun. But I don't play any of those games because they're not Final Fantasy VII, the OG, with the cute little. I don't want realistic looking.
You like the kind of weird blocky arm Popeye hands.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yes, I want pixelated characters.
I will say, if you told me in the year 2020 people would want merchandise of the PlayStation 1 pixel arm Final Fantasy VII cast, I would say you're crazy. But like, I remember when they announced those back in like January or February, like they came in little blind boxes. Just seeing these people buying these like little 2-inch high figures for like $80 was like melting me.
This is it. And because those of us who are like, I'm done being trapped in story mode, please just let me wander the world in my pixelated characters that really don't talk much, and we can just wander the world in Chocobo and work. That's it. That's all I want with life.
That's
Quest and works.
We've had a lot of like ups and downs for emotions, but like boy, we've really done a 180 for that thanks to Chocobo, so I appreciate that.
If you want to calm me down and get me off of my high horse, which I have, I know I'm opinionated. I know that people don't want to hear it. I know, but you're hearing it because I can't be anywhere than where I am in this period of time, in this period of history. It's too important, and even with my career, I feel the importance more than ever to be of service to the audience that needs a break from everything. And if I'm going to ask you to go out there and fight and be strong and stand up for yourself, then I'm also going to do my best so that when you're having your downtime and you pop in that game, you can forget everything and you can just go someplace else for a while and relax. Like, trust and believe. I get it. You've got to have balance. It's important to find joy where you can find joy. You deserve to have joy in your life every day. Find that piece of joy, but don't give up the good fight.
That is awesome. I mean, there's a reason I asked you to come on here outside of our matching days of birth. It was I missed talking to you. I needed a good excuse to get you back on here. I love hearing your opinions. There, I know that not everybody enjoys when people get very opinionated for it, but I know at the same time there are just as many, if not more, people who like hearing all that stuff. You have a large social following for more than just your chocobo breeding tips. It's like,
oh, thank you.
So thank you so much for chatting with me for like an hour. I'll start wrapping up. I don't want to keep you for like too long, but
well, it has been real. I feel like I dumped all over you, and I apologize.
No,
but like,
I'm on this show every week. People need me to shut up more. You're doing me a favor. You're helping me out.
Well, I appreciate anybody who made it to the end of this podcast, and I'm giving you an energetic hug right now of thank you, because I'm in process too. I mean, it's our birthday, and stuff has popped off this weekend. Like, there has been, just in the last week, there has been a year's worth of dumpster fire in the last week, and here we are. I don't feel like celebrating my birthday, but I acknowledge that my meat suit made it, and I feel like that in itself is an accomplishment in this day and age and time. And I'm so grateful for anybody who would take the time to listen to me talk, because I kind of am over myself for sure.
You're over your own meat suit now?
I'm over myself. I'm just over it. I'm over myself because I get it. It's exhausting. But I do enjoy. I think you do such a good job, Spencer. Thank you for having me on your show. You're such a great host. You do such good work, and I'm grateful that you even, remembered that we had the same birthday and remembered that. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to hear that. I really mean it.
Mutual Admiration Society.
But before we say bye, I thought, just to kind of like continue the like wholesomeness for it, at least right now, what is your go-to? You're disconnecting from the world. What is your like favorite way to just kind of like, at least recently, kind of unwind, relax, and be happy with yourself?
Well, other than Animal Crossing, which is a good 85%, watching and rewatching episodes of Pen 15 make me laugh out loud.
Oh my god. That show does not get enough love.
That show is my everything. It is my everything because it's just so good. And my roommate was awesome enough for my birthday to buy the huge Lego Mandalorian StarCraft ship. So we're putting that together and just doing Lego. Can we just talk about the gorgeousness of doing Lego and unplugging and just following instructions and doing something simple? Also, my plants. Yeah, nature. I don't go out because of quarantine. Like, I genuinely don't leave my house, but I have a lot of plants inside, and I just brought nature to me. That's it.
I had no idea there was a little Mandalorian like Lego set ship. So this is really funny. This is really funny you mentioned this. I just, by some weird 20-something plus delayed thing, my fiance has now finally realized why Legos are popular. We like got her a Lego set just like out of boredom one day when moving, and she was just like, it's like a flip switched in her head of like, because it's really perfect for just like zoning out and just like building something, and it's so satisfying like watching yourself build it, and especially for me because like I like set up like the camera and like had like a time lapse of like her building it.
Yeah.
And it was just like so fun of like her doing this and be like, oh, I get it now. And we had like, we got this, like, set for Baby Yoda and, like, the Mandalorian, where it was, like, oh, she built, like, Baby Yoda and I built him, and it was, like, us doing it together. And I was, like, we did it, like, a week ago. I was, like, that was, like, one of the most wholesome things I remember, like, doing together. And it wasn't anything, and it wasn't, like, anything, like, crazy. We didn't do anything extravagant. We were sitting on our couch just building Legos as grown adults, and it was just, like, a nice way to, like, kind of, like, unplug.
To anyone having a difficult time, or anybody who's addicted to their devices that can't get out of the dumpster fire of social media, Lego is it, man. Lego is it. Use the Lego. It will bring you back into your body. One needs to be in one's meat suit. I remember someone years and years ago told me to be where your hands are. be where your hands are. When my head can't stop all the crazy, all the darkness, when I'm like, oh my God, Nazis are here again. When I can't stop that line of thinking, be where your hands are. Are there Nazis near your hands? No? Okay, so nobody to strangle. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Just don't buy any Lego Indiana Jones sets. Then you might have Nazis in your hand. But outside of that, you'll be good.
But then I can make believe and I can cathartically get it all out.
And Legos are indestructible, so you can pretty much just hit it as much as you want with no consequence.
It's about some scenarios. I'm just saying.
It's therapy. It's a very cheap form of therapy.
It really is. In the best way possible. It really is.
Okay, so if people would like to follow your meat suit metaphorically online, where can they find you if they've somehow listened to this all and don't follow you already?
Okay, so I have deleted my Instagram app and my Facebook app because Nazis. So I really am only on Twitter, which is Erin Fitzgerald, and I get heated on Twitter, so don't follow that if you're looking for wholesome content. That's me. Basically, how I had this conversation with Spencer is how I have conversations on Twitter. If you want the wholesome, just the wholesome, that's the Discord. And you can find the Discord by going to my Twitch, which is Erin Fitzgerald, all squished together. Erin Fitzgerald on Twitch. And from the Twitch, you can find the Discord. And Twitch and Discord, I stick to wholesome content. I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about anything heated. Again, they are meant for those two things are my mental health escape. If you want to be plugged into action and things you want to do to help with the fight, the good fight, to protect your freedoms, then follow me on Twitter, because I post, mostly I don't post opinions, mostly I'm posting action plans. This is what you can do. This is what you can do. This is how you can support. This is what you can do, because I am not a person that likes to sit and complain about things on social media. I'm a person that's like, okay, this is how I feel. How do I get out of this feeling? Oh, take an action towards building the reality I want to build. And so that's what I focus on Twitter.
Well, that is a perfect way to wrap it up, and now I'm going to be forced to follow that up by a much less eloquent way to tell people where they can follow me. But thank you so much for coming on here. It was so great to talk to you.
Welcome. Thanks for being so patient in the booking process of getting me organized.
This was the easiest. Trust me, you would think with everyone at home I'd be guilting people more. Be like, listen, I know you're not leaving your houses. You can get back to an email faster than this.
I love that. It's so true.
But yeah, so if you guys would like to continue following us, you can follow us on Twitter at SMT Network. My personal Twitter is at Torchwood4SP. Besides that, just subscribe to the channel if you want to watch the videos there. iTunes for all your regular stuff. But the links for all our Discord and also Erin's Twitch and Discord will be in the show notes for this podcast. So just follow the fun linky links if you guys want to follow us both.
Linky links.
But yeah, goodbye everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
I've been flipping through my timeline, trying to get my mind right. My city cried out. I got to cool down, but I'm under pressure. Cooking with my Crisco. Look at what my fists go. A renegade when I'm in a rage. I got to cool down, but I'm under pressure. I keep my hands dirty, my mind clean. Got a new agenda with a new dream. I'm kicking out the old regime. Liberation, elevation, education. America, you a lie. But the whole world about to testify. I said the whole world about to testify. And the table's about to turn. Ain't no stopping till it turn. No stopping till turn. We can't wait for it to turn. Yeah, the table got to turn. It's a boomerang booming back. Yeah, you laid an egg, now it's about to hatch. Yeah, you gaslighting, about to meet your match. You f*** up the kitchen, then you should do the dishes. Burning down plantations. Ain't no parking, I don't need no validation. I light sage when I'm in a rage. I don't need permission, I got my intuition.